Hello, we're Group 21. Today we'll be talking about MEP and HVAC. My name is Randy Miller.
My name is Micah Reynolds.
And I'm Nick Zerla.
So we'll be talking about the background of MEP and HVAC, state-of-the-art practices, and issues and trends in the MEP and HVAC industry. So a little background on the systems. MEP and HVAC systems are what turn structures and buildings into usable and livable places. So MEP stands for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. HVAC stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So mechanical and HVAC are very related. HVAC is what circulates the warm and the cool air throughout the building, and it's a subset of the mechanical systems. So the mechanical systems includes all the air, some gas, and liquid piping in the system. Electrical is what powers all the things in the building, in the system, and it's responsible for delivering electricity throughout the building. Plumbing is responsible for all exposed water, which means like toilets, sinks, showers, and bathtubs. So most MEP and HVAC systems cannot be seen. They're usually hidden in the ceilings and walls for aesthetics because people don't like to look at them. They're sort of industrial and pipes and stuff like that and not attractive. So some factors that influence the design are the project size, for example, commercial versus residential. So commercial buildings usually need much larger and high-tech systems that have to last for much longer, whereas residential systems are usually much smaller scale, so they don't need to be as beefy or as expensive. So also it depends on location. For example, if you're in Antarctica, you're probably not going to need air conditioning. And if you're in, let's say, on the equator, you don't need heat usually.
So I'll be talking to you about some of the state-of-the-art practices that is in the industry today. So first and foremost, design is the initial step. We need to consider all of the needs of the clients, and computer programs kind of like Revit are used, and I'll be discussing a little bit about that later. And building information modeling, or BIM for short, is a technique used to visualize the complete system, and I'll show you an example of that later on as well. This initial step is a very important part of estimating and scheduling. Usually a large percent of the cost is dedicated towards this, and most of the sequencing revolves around coordination for MEP and HVAC systems. Work can be complex, and each individual system is usually constructed by a separate subcontractor, and these subcontractors are experts in their own specific field. This assures that the project, each part of the system, is working correctly and is completed correctly as well. It's very important. Usually large equipment is needed to transport parts of these systems. For example, helicopters are used to bring in air handling units to the roofs of skyscrapers, very heavy objects going very high up in the air. Cranes are almost always used for large equipment as well. Professional associations show support for reputable contractors. They connect industry professionals, inform contractors, and advance the industry. And the organizations like Refrigeration Service Engineers Society provide training for contractors. And labor unions and merit contractors are also an important part of the professional associations aspect. So Revit, as you can see here, this program has been at the forefront of the building information modeling and MEP HVAC system design since its release in the year 2000. In 2002, it was acquired by Autodesk, which is best known for their product AutoCAD. And Revit is useful to plan and track all stages of a building's life cycle, from concept to construction, to maintenance to demolition. The name Revit comes from the phrase revise instantly due to its relative ease of changes to the model. This was a game changer program for the industry because it was so easy to make changes that were able to be implemented into the design, especially with design adjustments and things that needed to happen very quickly. So ease of illustration, this is kind of an example that you see here of this building information modeling. Inside of Revit, you can see all the different systems working together, but different enough that you can see which system is where, which system is doing what. And this Revit and similar programs make it possible to design and visualize these systems before construction, which allows owners to see the product in action before construction begins, which is very important, and it also just makes that whole process easier.
Alright, now I'm going to talk to you guys about issues, trends, and challenges with MEP and HVAC. So the world is turning green. There's a huge push to make buildings environmentally friendly and sustainable now. So basically we're focusing on reducing environmental impact in our footprint as much as possible during construction. So basically there's this thing called LED to educate builders, and contractors will rank people based on their environmental consideration as well. Some coordination and scheduling problems that we run into with MEP and HVAC, the systems are very large and complex. So there's a certain order in which things must be done, and when these work items get messed up and off schedule, you'll lose a lot of time and money. Workers will be forced to sit around, and you really want to stick to the schedule. So what is LED? LED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Internationally, it's recognized as a green building certification system, and it provides basically a framework of how to become sustainable and environmentally friendly during construction practices. The benefits, you will gain a certification that will reduce building operation and maintenance costs. You'll have a healthier work environment, you have a higher building value, and when you gain this LEED certification, you can obtain government incentives.